Today I'm joined by Rennie Schaefer, the CEO of the Self-Storage Association UK, and also FEDESSA, who are the Federation of European Self-Storage Associations. FEDESSA's membership platform is now on Ready Membership. It brings together multiple country associations with their own local language websites, all accessible via the same FEDESSA homepage. All their national association data is managed in the Ready Membership CRM, giving them a global single source of truth. Welcome, Rennie. Let me start by asking you to tell us a little bit more about FEDESSA.
All right, so FEDESSA is actually a federation of European self-storage associations. So our members are actually other self-storage associations across Europe. So we've got 14 different associations in various countries and regions across Europe, and each of them have their own governance systems and membership. But we're the overriding association that kind of brings all that together, provides efficiencies in terms of offering services and also lobbies at a collective level, and maintains the European self-storage standard.
So, when it came to FEDESSA's old website and the membership platform, what were the biggest challenges you were facing before kind of Ready Membership?
Well, the problem we had was because we've got all our members are individual associations, they all had individual systems with their own email systems, their own websites, their own CRMs, and there was no consistency across all the data. There was no real easy way of actually marketing to all those people collectively. And so it was just very, very fragmented. And the different associations were at different levels in terms of their support, their professionalism. So some of them had half decent systems and others were running on Excel spreadsheets and WordPress websites and things like that. So we wanted a solution where we had all the data in one place, we had the ability to market and communicate to these members collectively, but at the same time break it down so that they were getting individual marketing and individual access. And particularly, obviously, in terms of language, we needed to make sure that we could communicate with them in their local language. So we really wanted a solution that basically brought everything together.
Again, ready membership. Did you have to kind of log into all of these other websites?
Yeah, so each association had their own individual logins and their own individual systems, and the real problem was with the data because some of that data would be updated, but it wouldn't be shared across, and in some cases it wouldn't even be shared across their own system. So they could potentially be using Mailchimp for mailing. They could have an Access database or some sort of CRM system, and even those weren't necessarily communicating to each other within the same association, let alone at a FEDESSA level if we wanted to send out emails about the conference or security alerts or things like that. So, it was the prime function was to bring all the data together so that we could have a single database across Europe that the individual associations could access, but we could also access at a European level.
So, talking of one of the challenges, so how the migration from all these different platforms into a single one, how was that coordinated?
That was a challenge because obviously, everybody had a degree of attachment to their own systems. But I think one of the benefits was we showed them all the different functionality that Ready Membership and would bring to their business. We showed them how efficient it was. We showed them how it would help with their membership renewals, how it would help with their events, how it brought everything into a single platform.
Did you find you kind of had multiple people across kind of on each of the different websites and the same kind of company multiple times? So did you have to do some kind of deduplication of data?
Yeah, because that's the thing. Some of our members actually, or what I say members, some of our facility operators, some of the self-storage companies have memberships in multiple countries. And that was another thing we wanted to tie together. And so, it was a matter of making sure the data all lined up. So there was a bit of work to be done to make sure the data was good before we migrated across, because that was the other thing. We didn't want to take dodgy data and put it into the new system. We wanted to make sure the system started clean and fresh and all consolidated. So there was a bit of work with each of the individual associations, going through their existing data, making sure that it was correct, it was updated, we didn't have any duplications, and then it was basically getting all that data collectively, bringing it into the big pool, and then going through it again to make sure that we didn't have duplications where there was some content that was in the Dutch site that was duplicated again in the Belgian site and things like that.
Your website at the moment uses a particular feature of the platform regarding kind of multi-tenancy. So this kind of allows effectively to have lots of subsites of within the one platform. But what it also allows you to do is to share certain data across each of those tenants but also kind of keep some of that data specific for that tenant. So, for example, you may have an events, and those events are local for that country. So you only want in your event calendar to see those local events, but you might have kind of contacts and organizations who you want to be available for kind of every tenant within your website.
Well, that's the beauty of it. I mean, we can share data, we can share events, we can just share marketing emails, we can share anything we want across as many platforms as we like. So, for example, if we're having an event in Spain, we might say, okay, we want to actually make this available to the Portuguese and the Spanish, but we don't necessarily need to see it to anybody else. If we're doing an event in the UK, we might open it up to Ireland as well. Or on the other hand, if we're doing a big European event, we can open it up to everybody. So when you set an event, you can actually choose which associations or which websites you want that to be visible on. And it means that all the content is set in one place. So if we ever change anything about that event, it gets duplicated automatically. It means that all the bookings go through the same funnel, but it means it shows up on the local websites and the local mailing systems, and like you said, the events calendars and things like that. And the same thing goes in terms of email communication as well. We can set an email communication up, and we can have one email communication in English that goes out to all the English speakers. We have another email communication in German that goes out to the German speakers, whether they be in Germany or whether they be in Sweden, Switzerland, or wherever else. So it really allows us to stop duplication of content and work. But also it allows us to very much customize the experience for the individual user at the end, so that they're only seeing what is actually relevant to their particular market. And it's all 100% current. So there's no more duplicating of things. There's no more kind of copying content from one website to another or duplicating events or anything like that. It's all kept in one single place. And then you basically get to choose how far that spreads to who sees it, who doesn't. And also in terms of even supply members. So we have members that supply the industry, who sponsor events and things like that. And they tend to be kind of cross countries and cross associations. So again, we can set them up with their own category, and it means that the suppliers are actually getting emails and communications for all the different events all over Europe, because they might be interested in attending them. So the level of customization, the level of personalization, is fantastic, and that's what the tenanting allows us to do. It basically allows us to set a set of individual websites. So every website has a basic structure which is the same, but the coloring is different, the labelings are different, the logos are different, everything else is completely different and completely customizable. And if somebody wants to have a whole big section on one particular topic, they can do that, but that topic might only be relevant for Portugal, so therefore the Portuguese website shows that content, but it doesn't get shown anywhere else. Or that content might be actually really relevant for other countries, in which case they can pick that content up and then duplicate it across their own websites if they want as well. So it's a very flexible solution that keeps everything together, but still allows you with a unique website and a unique user experience.
And at the moment, you've launched a number of specific websites for some of your associations, but you're gradually rolling out more across each of your associations. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I've actually lost track of how many websites we've got running at the moment. I think we've got about 10 of them up and going at the moment. And some of them are relatively simple, but then, for instance, the Swiss website is a website in itself, but then it's got 3 languages within the Swiss website, because we've got the various languages that are spoken in Switzerland. So the language part of it was a big part of what we were doing, the ability to be able to have all these different sites in different languages, and then kind of share that information around. And the other great thing about the tenanting as well is that you can actually put user controls on as well. So while I might have access to all the different websites and all the different email functionalities and all the different events and all the rest of it, I can set it up so that the administrator for the Swiss site, for instance, can only see content for the Swiss site, can only see data for the Swiss members, can only make those changes. Or I might be able to say they can view the content on all the other websites, but they can only change content on their own website. So I can set these permissions based on the user or based on the user groups, which gives them various degrees of access to the system. And the individual associations can do the same thing. So they can say, okay, well, they might have a staff member that they just want to look at events. So therefore, we set the permissions so that they can only see events relevant to their country, but they can't play with the content or play with the data and all the rest of it. So setting these permissions is another way we can control access to the site, but it means that individual staff members, or in some cases individual members, can make changes to things that we can control, and make live changes to it, and keep the site updated, and the data current.
When a new association wants to create the next kind of microsite, are they what is that process? I take it they've got their own kind of brand colors and things like that. So you create the site, do you theme it, and then they get involved of adding the content, or does that all tend to come initially kind of via yourself to kind of build that site up?
Look, it's actually a really simple process to start the new websites now. Now that we've set the back end up properly, so I can create a new website quite literally in about 10 minutes. It's probably not even that. It's probably 5 minutes, by basically just going through, clicking a few buttons, setting a few parameters in terms of of the back end, and the membership and things like that, and then the structure is there. And we have a certain number of pages which we pretty much automatically put across all the different websites. So we can basically load those pages up. We've even got translation systems now, so we actually set the local language of the website, and the system will automatically translate a whole lot of those back end words that are used constantly throughout the website. We can tweak those if we need to. If we don't think the translation is 100% right, we can go back in and tweak those. But it basically sets all the language up and everything. So we then deliver a website with the events and the mail system and all the rest of it to our association members, with some basic general content that we would put across all the websites, and then they can basically come into the back end, add their own content, tweak the content we've put in there if they want, put in stuff about the events and all the rest of it, and up and going.
Kind of what would you say has been the most positive impact on the platform operationally?
Operationally, it's definitely being having consistent data all in one place, and being able to communicate to all our operator members, and really customize that as well, because I think that's one of the real benefits of Ready membership as a whole, is that the level of customization is quite, or personalization I should say, sorry, is quite incredible. So using the various filters and all the rest of it in the system, you can come up with some really personalized messages, and not just in terms of email, but in terms of the websites as well. So when the member logs into the website and lands on their member's homepage, we do quite a lot of work in terms of trying to personalize that, so that it only shows them content that's relevant to them based on their previous experiences, or based on what we know about them, and things like that. So, and this also obviously helps us with languages and language content, and that kind of thing as well. But that level of personalization is a real benefit of the Ready membership system. And from an operational point of view, it is definitely all about having one single central point of data, which then is used across everything, whether it be events, whether it be emails, whether it be membership renewals. Everything's all in one place, so we're no longer kind of duplicating data and things like that. And I think we've got more of our operator members interacting with the website now than we've ever had before, because I think the website is providing them with information, and it's functional and it's easy to use. And we're finding now members are actually going onto the website to get information, rather than necessarily ringing the association up saying, "Oh, can you send me this?" or "Can you get me to that?" or "Can you do that?" It makes it a lot easier for them to go online and do it themselves. And when they go online and do it themselves, they also see the other things that we feed into them. So they log into the website, and they to pay their renewal or to do whatever. And at the same time, we can then use that as a means to feed them marketing materials or industry updates, or whatever else. So our website usage by members has grown incredibly, since we've gone onto the system.
Fantastic. Yeah. You touched upon kind of things like renewals. So the subscription model for your members is kind of fairly complicated, I guess, in the way that you calculate membership fees, because it's not just a flat fee depending on what particular grade you join as or you renew as. So how did you used to manage your kind of membership subscriptions prior to kind of Ready membership?
So most of the associations were actually just running a manual membership subscription system. So they'd run it through their whatever accounting system they were running, and they just basically send out manual invoices, and it wasn't tied back in necessarily to the CRM system. So you didn't have to go back to the CRM and update who'd paid and things like that. Some of them had online payment systems, but most of them didn't. It was really just the bigger associations that had the online payment systems. So it was a very manual system basically. And obviously, the beauty of Ready membership is that the bulk of it is automated. So, so yes, we have to set up multiple membership subscription systems because each association invoices in a slightly different way. Some people charge them per store, some people charge them for every 3 stores, some charge them for the size of the store. So there's all these different membership subscriptions in there for the different associations in the different countries. Obviously, we've also got different currencies, different tax rates. But once they're set up from a customer's point of view, from a user's point of view, it really is really easy to go through the renewal process. And the other advantage of it is you preset all this information. So we've got emails that go out. If the membership renewal is due on the 1st of March, on the 1st of February, the first email goes out, kind of telling that the renewal is due, and all these things happen automatically. So from an association management point of view, the bulk of your members are renewing online without you having any actual interaction with them because it's all been done automated. You've obviously had to set those automated emails up, but once they go out automatically. Every week my guys get a report that says these are the people that haven't paid yet, that they're overdue, and how overdue they are, and all the rest of it, so they can start chasing those up. But for the UK membership, for example, which is actually due at the end of this month, this process has run through, and we've already got 60% of our members that have renewed, and that's like 2 weeks before the actual renewal date. Now that's way more than we've ever had before, just because the system kind of does it for you, and it's so easy because there's links in all the emails to say, renew your membership, click here. They click here, they get the opportunity to select the direct debit, pay online, however it may be. So, and it also prompts them whenever their membership renewals are due. Whenever they log into the website, at the top of the website, there's a button there that says, "Hey, your membership's going to expire in 2 days or 2 weeks or whatever it is. Click here to renew." So they're just constantly being reminded of it. So I think it's made the process a lot easier. And from an administration point of view, it's all tied in again. It's tied in with Stripe. It's tied in with Go Cardless. So, it's tied in with Xero. So everything happens automatically. So at the end of the day, from my accounts team downstairs, they can basically reconcile everything a lot easier. It's all tied back into the system. And again, they're not duplicating data.
I guess it's quite tricky, but kind of ballpark, are you kind of saying that, this is, you need to spend kind of half the time now managing your memberships?
Honestly, I would say we are probably spending a third of the time managing our memberships to what we used to do before. And not only that, we get it to do it better because the ones we're focusing on are the non-payers or the people that were late or whatever else. So we actually we have a smaller group of people to focus on, and we get to chase them a little bit better rather than this kind of big list that gets to the end of the month and people haven't done this. And the time spent on, like I said, the time spent on tying all that together. The fact is that if they pay by direct debit, and they've got the direct debit mandate there, Ready Membership knows about it, Go Cardless knows about it, Xero knows about it. It all just happens. The printers get a list at the end of the week that says send certificates to these particular people. The printers send the certificates off to the people along with the welcome pack and the door stickers and all the other stuff they get, and it just happens.
Fantastic, yeah. And kind of regarding kind of members who then go into a kind of a, don't renew their membership, have you found a positive, are more members renewing now?
To be honest, we've had fairly good membership retention anyway, so it's not, I wouldn't say that's a big factor in what we've been doing. But what I do find is that it makes the process easier, and even just in terms of the data, all the staff can see who's paid and who's not paid. So if a member rings up and has a membership inquiry or wants legal advice or whatever else it may be, they can see straight away that this person's renewal is due in a week or is a week overdue, and that again gives them a chance to kind of prompt them and say, hey, where are we going with this? You're overdue and we need the payment now, or whatever else. So I just think the system makes it easier, and you can focus on providing the services to the members rather than necessarily kind of chasing invoices.
Just out of interest as well, kind of what new features on the website? Are there particular things that you kind of like most of that you haven't mentioned already?
I think the resource directory and the asset library are pretty cool. And again, in terms of tenanting and all the rest of it, so we can basically share assets across various associations in various places and time code them so that they're only available for certain periods of time and all this kind of stuff. I think that's kind of really useful. The email platform, in terms of its personalization, is fantastic, and we're starting to really get our head around that now. So we're very much personalizing our email communication as much as we can, and even particularly in terms of events, we're looking up people that have been to previous events before or not been to previous events before or booked on this and all the rest of it. So we can very much, personalize our messages. And the same with the membership renewals. We can very much personalize our messages on those as well. So I think the level of personalization of the system is really good. And the way you can share assets and link assets, and again have a single asset in one place that if you change, that it gets updated across the whole website as well, and all the emails and all the rest of it. So if we do update an asset or a resource, particularly because we do provide a fair bit of legal advice to our members, so we've constantly got standard contracts and different legal things like that, and we want to make sure that if we change it in one place, it gets changed everywhere, and that if anybody goes and downloads it, then it's changed everywhere, and the asset library is great for that.
Fantastic. Well, look, Rene, thank you very much for your time today, and obviously we're looking forward to seeing lots more launches of your association websites in the future, but yeah, much appreciated taking the time with us today.
No problem.